Hello and welcome to the 114T pump rebuild tutorial. In this video, we'll be taking apart our 114 pumps, replacing the parts inside, and putting them back together. To replace our parts, we are going to be using kits A and B. In kit A for a 114T are 2 seal rings, grease, 2 117 O-rings, 2 plunger guides, and a plunger. In kit B, we have 4 poppets, more grease, 4 116 O-rings, and 4 springs. For this rebuild, I would recommend having a towel, a 3/16 hex wrench, that grease from kit A or B, a small screwdriver, a hammer, and some water. Alright, so let's take apart our pump. We have 6 bolts to take off. There's a nut on the back of the pump, so we will attack those bolts from the manifold side, as seen here. We'll take our 3/16 hex wrench and undo all the bolts. We'll get those loose and get those to the side, along with the nuts that have fallen off the back, and we will fold off our manifold. Inside the pump, we should have 4 poppets and spring combos, 4 116 O-rings, readily available to be taken out. Continuing to take apart our pump, we will now take the heads and pull them off the plunger, and we'll put the plunger to the side. And this is going to be the difficult part, getting that retainer plate off. It is a very tight fit in these 114T heads, so that's where I like to use the hammer. If you have a vise, I would recommend using that and putting the head in there. Just don't compress the plastic too much. But if you want to do it like I do it, I take a bolt that we just took off the pump and position it over the retainer plate and grab my hammer so I'm hitting the bolt instead of the actual retainer plate. Next, we'll take apart the insides of the heads, and that's the plunger guide, the seal ring, and the 117 O-ring. Now, you could use your finger if it's too tight. You can also kind of wiggle around the plunger, just kind of in a circular motion, left and right, and kind of pop those plunger guides out of place. All right, let's replace the parts and get our pump back together. So we'll take kit A, and we'll first grab the 117 O-ring and the grease. And we'll open the grease and put grease around that O-ring. We don't need to put a lot, just a little bit will do, but we're going to rub it all the way around the O-ring. We're going to put that O-ring inside each head, as seen here. Next, we will grab the seal ring, and this is going to be the tricky part, getting the seal ring and plunger guide in. So have a little patience. We're going to put that seal ring concentric with that O-ring and try to fit it as deep in that O-ring as you can and centered. Now we will grab our plunger guides, and we will want the larger diameter side facing out of the pump. And once it sits flush with the head, you know that it is in correctly. If you look inside and you see any of the seal ring popping out of the hole of the plunger guide or the O-ring, then you should redo it, and hopefully you didn't damage the seal ring. Now with those plunger guides in place and all the other 2 parts, we can put our retainer plates onto our heads. And the retainer plate has a rounded edge, and it's kind of a smoother side, a smoother finish, and there's not a rougher finish on the other side that's completely flat. We're going to have those rounded corners into the pump, so the rougher finish will be facing us. We'll repeat that process for both pump heads, and then we will grab our plunger, and we will put a little bit of grease on each plunger tip and slide the pump heads onto each side. And the spacing is important, but you can pretty much put them almost all the way together, so the pump heads are touching on the ends. And that plunger is going to be facing away from us, so the slot, we won't be able to see the slot if we are able to see the valve pockets. Okay, now we will grab our manifold, position this so that when I flip it over, the outlets will be on the top of the screen. So that's important when I put my poppets and my springs in, because I want my outlets to match that. So I'll grab those O-rings from kit B, my 116 O-rings, and I'll put those on each valve pocket. And then I will construct my poppet spring subassembly. And the 3 prongs should go inside each spring. So I'll do that for each spring and poppet. And for our outlets, we want the spring out of the pump. So I will put the poppet onto each pump head on the top and the spring facing me. And I will do the opposite for the inlets on the bottom of the pump. I will have the pop so I can see the poppet when it is on the heads. Now I will grab my manifold and I will flip it over and just double check that the outlets are on the top of the pump where that sticker is and where your spring poppet combo where the spring was facing you. So once that is secure, I'll grab my 6 bolts and I'll just put them in quick just so they're in position. And I'll then grab the nuts and I'll hand tighten them, and then I'll grab my 3/16 hex wrench and slowly tighten each one kind of in a circular pattern. So I'll do top, bottom, middle on each side. And then I'll switch sides, top, bottom, middle. And then I'll switch sides again, top, bottom, middle, top, bottom, middle. And you don't want it to be super tight. You can retighten these once you get your pump onto your motor. But you do want it about hand tight, just so it holds the manifolds and heads together. This has been the tutorial on the 114T pump rebuild. Thank you for joining us. If you have any other questions, please refer to our other videos, visit our website, or give us a call here at Pumptec. Thanks and have a great day.